My name is Whitney Faulkner, and I'm 37. I'm the oldest child, the one who fixes things before anyone admits they're broken. I'm a brain surgeon, which means I live out of a locker at the hospital and a suitcase at home. My life runs on 4 a.m. pages and schedules that look like war plans. I don't drink much. I run when I can. I save almost everything I make because I grew up on overdraft fees and the kind of fear that tastes metallic. I was the kid who translated grown-up panic. It'll be fine, I'd say at 10 years old, standing in our kitchen while my mom cried over late rent. I learned early that emergencies have a shape. I learned the fastest way to feel safe was to be useful. 2 weeks ago, my parents hit 50 years of marriage. I wanted them to have a real win, not a polite dinner where congratulations sound like customer service. I wanted them to have something that felt like air, clean, open, unearned peace. So I bought them a house, a small blue one above the water, slightly crooked, warm in a way money can't fake. White deck, 2 palms out front, big windows that sing when the wind pushes in from the bay. $425,000, and worth every breath I held while signing the papers. I closed it in their names, but protected it the way my job taught me to protect fragile things, through structure. Trust documents, prepaid taxes, HOA paid out years in advance, new locks, clean lines, no loopholes. I stocked the fridge, hid a note in the silverware drawer that said for late mornings and loud laughter. I didn't tell anyone else, not my younger brother Evan, not his wife Tara. The only person who knew was my boyfriend Ethan, because he's watched me carry my family like a second spine for years and knows the difference between generosity and self-harm. The day I planned to surprise my parents properly, I drove down with a cake and a bottle of sparkling cider. The ocean was clear. The sky was offensively perfect. I felt stupidly happy. Then I parked in the driveway and saw someone else's SUV. That wasn't right. The front door was wide open. The screen door banged in the wind like a warning. My stomach dropped the way it does right before an operating room goes silent, when something has already gone wrong and the body hasn't caught up yet. I stepped inside. My mother stood in the kitchen, gripping a dish towel like a white flag. Her eyes were red. My father sat hunched in a chair, hands shaking. Boxes everywhere, loud voices from the hallway. A cartoon blared from the living room, one I hadn't even turned on yet. "Mom," I said. Then Tara appeared barefoot, beer in hand, wearing one of Evan's old football shirts, like ownership. She planted herself in front of my father, jabbed a finger toward the door, and yelled, "This is my house, get out!" From the couch, Evan laughed. "Relax, Dad," he said. "We're just getting settled." The plastic cake lid cut into my palm. Something in me went very, very quiet. Not rage, not yet. The calm that comes when emotion steps aside and function takes over. You need context. Evan is 3 years younger than me. In our family, he was always the dreamer, the one with potential, the one who just needed time. My parents did what they knew: sacrifice, defend, minimize. And I did what I knew: cover. Textbooks, tuition gaps, apartment deposits, co-signed leases after evictions, braces when the dental plan had a weird deductible, a used minivan when the bank said no. My payment apps read like confessionals: Evan rent, electric bill, kids' school trip, just this one last time. Every transfer felt like smoothing sharp edges, like if I paid enough, the family would stay intact. I was wrong. My parents helped too, in quieter, more bleeding ways. Mom slipped groceries into Evan's trunk and called it pantry cleaning. Dad let Tara borrow tools for projects that always cost more to undo. The chorus never changed. You know your brother? Not everyone is like you, Whitney. You were born old. During residency, I slept on call room mattresses and wired money at 2 a.m. on broken Wi-Fi because Tara had panicked, Mom had cried, and I couldn't stand the sound of her voice when she felt trapped. When I found the seaside house, I planned it like surgery. Deed in a trust. My parents as lifetime beneficiaries with exclusive occupancy. Taxes prepaid. HOA prepaid. Locks replaced. Keys in my hand felt like a life raft. I told my parents 1 week before their anniversary so they could cry privately. We drove down together. My father touched the banister like it was a violin he once owned. My mother opened every cabinet and exhaled. We sat on the deck listening to gulls argue. "It's yours," I said. My dad tried to speak. Couldn't. Mom whispered, "It smells like lemon and open windows." I stayed overnight on a blow-up mattress to test the plumbing. Everything worked. The next morning, I went back to the city for surgery. a child with a tumor the size of a plum. The house stayed with them. And systems do what systems do. Evan called Mom on day 2. "Where are you? Whose house is that?" My mom lied badly. "Visiting a friend." By dinner, Evan had triangulated the address from a blurry Facebook photo my dad posted. View from our porch. Evan arrived with Tara, their 2 kids, their dog, and entitlement you could smell from the driveway. "They just wanted to see it," Mom told me later. Then, "They're staying the weekend." Then, barely audible, "Is that okay?" "It isn't a rental," I said. "We'll talk when you come down." By Saturday morning, my dad texted, "Evan keeps saying family home. Can you come?" Then silence. Then a missed call. I was scrubbed in. Then a selfie from Tara in my parents' kitchen. Home sweet home. Comments poured in. Beach era. Finally something you deserve. My palm itched where a scalpel usually rests. Ethan called, "You're shaking." "I'm fine." "Whitney," he said gently, "do this with precision, not guilt." I drove straight after surgery. I rehearsed calming words. "We will reset. We will breathe. We will set rules." I walked into the open door instead. Tara's voice cut through the house. "You're old. Stairs are dangerous. This is a family house. We'll manage it." Mom tried. "It's Whitney's gift." "You're giving it to us," Tara snapped. "Same difference." Evan didn't even stand. He smirked. "Don't be dramatic." Tara gestured to the view. "Prime waterfront. I listed it this morning." I looked at my father's hands, trembling. I set the cake on the counter. "Who told you this is your house?" I asked. "Family money, family house," Tara said. "Don't be weird." "We're not asking," Evan sang. "We're updating." Something locked into place inside me. "Everyone to the living room," I said, surgical calm. Kids paused. Dog stopped shredding a pillow. I stood under a framed photo of my parents cutting a grocery store cake 40 years ago and laid 5 documents on the table. "The deed," I said. "The trust. My parents have exclusive occupancy." Tara squinted. "In English," I said, "you don't get a key." She laughed. "Try and stop me." "The trust makes me trustee," I said, "and obligates me to remove anyone interfering." She sweetened her tone. "We're helping." I slid the screenshot forward. "Your Airbnb listing? Posted this morning." Her eyes flicked. "And the payout account," I added, "yours." Evan shifted. "They could use the cash." I placed the group chat printout on the table. She always caves if Ruth cries. Tara reached for it. I covered it. Then the HOA rules. No short-term rentals. "Here's what's happening," I said. "You pack today, delete the listing, refund everyone, apologize, leave the key." Tara laughed. "Or what?" I set my phone down. Emails drafted. Attachments ready. HOA, platform safety, county recorder, and a text thread with Victor the locksmith. Parked 2 houses down. "You wouldn't," she said. "I already did." Evan turned to Mom. "Tell her." Mom looked at me and said, shaking, "Do what you need to do." Tara's face cracked. She pointed at my father again. "Old man." I stepped between them. "Point at my father again," I said quietly, "and the only door you're leaving through is the one Victor locks behind you." Silence. Then the doorbell rang. "Victor, right on time." It took 3 hours to unwind what took them 10 minutes to destroy. Chaos always does. Victor worked quietly, efficient, and neutral, the way good professionals do when they don't want to become part of the story. Tara hovered near the driveway, whisper yelling into her phone, oscillating between fury and disbelief. Evan kicked the curb like a sulking teenager, making calls to people who promised to check something legal and then mysteriously stopped answering. The dog barked until it went hoarse. The kids packed like embarrassed shadows, stuffing clothes into tote bags, half watching me like I might suddenly explode. I didn't. I sat at the kitchen table with my mother and made tea in the kettle I'd bought 2 weeks earlier. The kettle screamed when it boiled. Everything else felt muted. "I didn't want to tell you," my mom kept saying, dabbing her eyes with a napkin. "They came in so fast. They said it would be easier for us. Less stairs, less to clean, that they'd handle the hard parts." "The hard parts," I said gently, "are the parts that make it yours." She nodded, the small, guilty nod she used every time she apologized for the weather. My father stood at the window, staring at the water like he was trying to remember how to breathe. "I thought I'd be stronger," he said quietly. "I should have told them to leave." "You called me," I said. "That was the strong part." Victor finished the deadbolt and handed my father a small envelope with the new codes written in thick black marker, large enough for him to read without glasses. "Pick one you'll remember," Victor said kindly. My father chose our old apartment number from when I was in high school, the place with the bad heater and the good memories. When Tara finally slammed the SUV trunk shut, she made one last attempt at dignity. You're cruel, she said, voice shaking just enough to sound practiced. You're abandoning your family. I exhaled slowly. I'm done being your safety net. That's not abandonment. That's a boundary. She scoffed. We'll see how that works out. They drove away with tires spinning just enough to feel dramatic. The house changed temperature immediately. Samey air, different air. I could hear the ocean through the screen door. I could hear my parents breathing. I went room to room with a trash bag, collecting juice boxes, mismatched socks, a plastic tiara. In the guest room drawer, I found a folded printout. Tara's business plan. Projected monthly profit, 5 times the HOA fine. In the margin, in Evan's handwriting, Whitney won't say no if Mom cries. I put the paper down like it could cut me. That night, I opened my laptop and canceled every illegal booking, one by one. Listing removed by owner, refund issued. One guest threatened a bad review. I attached the HOA clause. Silence followed. I drafted a short letter to the neighbors. You may have seen extra cars. There was confusion. There will be no short-term rentals at this address. I signed it simply, Whitney. No last name, no explanation. Julia, no. Tara. Tried to reframe things at least 3 times before she left. First pass. We were just excited for them. Second, it makes sense if you think about it. You're never here. They're getting older. Third, when I didn't argue, didn't bite, she went for blood. You think money makes you the parent? She hissed. You buy things so you don't have to be a person. I bought a house for my parents, I said evenly. I didn't buy permission for you to steal it. She flinched at the word steal, then went cold. Well, she said, remember this. I will, I said, and I meant it. That night, my phone buzzed like a nest of hornets. Family chat messages, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. How could you do this to the kids? Money changes people. They're family. Tara's Instagram story popped up. Black background, white text. When money makes you cruel. Then a photo of my car in the driveway captioned, Think you can buy love. I didn't respond. Instead, I built something small and sturdy. I called my aunt, the only one who still says what she means. I explained in simple sentences, the house belongs to my parents. They live there in peace, no rentals, no exceptions. She was quiet for a moment, then she said, finally. I wrote Evan and Tara one email. Polite, firm, boring. 3 bullets. All communication about the house goes through me. You do not have permission to enter the property. Any violation will result in legal and HOA action. I CC'd myself, no one else. I set it as an auto response. 2 days later, a notification pinged. New booking request. Sea Spray Cottage. They'd relisted it under a different account. New photos. Back deck angle. I forwarded everything. Trust, deed, HOA rules to the platform's trust and safety team. 10 minutes later, listing removed, user banned. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired, like a janitor cleaning a stadium after a game no one thanked them for. Then my dad called. Whitney, he said, voice lighter than I'd heard in months. The house smells like toast and salt. I slept through the night. My mom sent a photo, her feet propped on the deck rail, nails painted bright pink like when I was 5 and thought she was a movie star. They looked light. Behind that softness, Tara kept scratching at the wall. She sent me a payment request labeled emotional damages. She mailed my parents a letter that began, as your primary caregiver, a sentence that had never once been true. Evan texted, Kyle, no, Tara's cousin, knows someone at the county. I didn't reply. One night, a blocked number called. I answered because hope dies slowly. Tara's voice came out small. We're behind. Evan lost his contract. We might lose the apartment. The kids. There's a point where empathy becomes gasoline. I won't discuss the house, I said. So money matters more than family, she snapped, mask snapping back into place. Boundaries, I said quietly, are how I stay family without becoming your bank. She hung up. I let the silence sit like a patient in recovery. Painful, monitored, necessary. 2 weekends later, I drove down early. Coffee in one hand, muscle memory still looping around my neck like a stethoscope. The water looked flat and silver, resting between breaths. I fixed a sticky hinge, labeled the breakers. My dad loves labels. Put tennis balls on the garage wall so he wouldn't bump it. Mom burned the first batch of pancakes. We laughed. We talked about groceries, about a neighbor named Jan who leaves shells in a jar, about a pelican who refuses dignity. No one said Tara's name for an hour. It felt like a clean countertop. After breakfast, Mom touched my hand. I'm going to talk to your brother, she said. Not to argue, to say no. I'm not asking you to choose, I said. She smiled small. It's not choosing. It's stopping the pretending. That night, I stood outside the house instead of going in. Through the window, I saw my father reading in his chair, glasses sliding down his nose, my mother wrapped in a blanket, puzzle pieces spread across the table. The ocean sound climbed in and settled under everything. I didn't interrupt. I stood on the sidewalk and let the quiet explain the point of all this to me. Stop! The loud part didn't last. It never does. What lingered was the quiet, the kind that arrives after something broken finally stops rattling. The house settled into itself like it had been waiting for permission. My parents started saying small no's. No, we can't watch the kids this weekend. No, we can't drive across town to fix the car. No, we're tired. They started saying yes to things that didn't come with consequences. Early sandwiches, afternoon naps, pointing out boats with ridiculous names. Peace arrived in increments so small you could miss it if you weren't paying attention. Tara didn't miss it. She pivoted audiences. When family sympathy thinned, she tried professionals. She sent me a message request from a new account claiming to be a housing advocate. When that didn't work, she tagged my hospital in a post about doctors who hoard wealth. When that went nowhere, she sent another payment request, this one itemized. Loss of lifestyle, loss of opportunity, loss of trust. I archived it. Evan tried once, just once, to sound reasonable. He emailed me late one night. We're in trouble. Tara's shop failed. The kids are asking questions. We just need help getting back on our feet. Temporarily. Temporary had been the longest word in my family. I replied with one sentence. I love you. I will not fund chaos. No explanation. No footnotes. My boyfriend Ethan read the message over my shoulder and squeezed my hand. That's the first time you didn't anesthetize the truth, he said. I slept 8 hours that night. A week later, my niece, 16, all limbs and watchful eyes, sent me a DM. The house is pretty. Grandma looks happy there. I stared at the message longer than I meant to. Come visit with Grandma's permission, I wrote back. No bookings, just pancakes. She sent a laughing emoji. Then, okay. It felt like a truce with someone who hadn't broken anything yet. One evening after a brutal case, I drove down without telling anyone. I needed to see the house lit from the outside, to make sure it was real. Through the window, I saw my father reading in his chair, the same way he used to in our old apartment when the only light came from the TV. My mother had a blanket over her lap and a half-finished puzzle on the table. The ocean breathed in and out beneath it all. I didn't go in. I stood on the sidewalk and let the quiet do its work. Here's what I know now. Love is not covering someone's bad behavior with your body. It is not congratulating chaos because the person causing it shares your blood. Love is a house with good light and doors that lock. Love is paperwork that holds when people don't. I used to believe paying kept the peace. It didn't. It just kept resentment fermenting in the walls. Boundaries are louder at first. Then they become a hush no one can fake. If Tara ever wants to stand on that deck and look at the water with my parents, she can. She can come with empty hands and an apology, not a business plan. Until then, the house stands. The locks click. The gulls argue. The windows sing when the wind comes in from the bay. Inside, my parents breathe easy. That's the ending. A gift should not cost you yourself, and a boundary is not cruelty. It's how love keeps the porch light on without burning the whole neighborhood down.